Mark show and... Wait, this is supposed to be TV trash? We're gonna have a production meeting when this thing is over. Well, I guess it doesn't matter that much, because one thing we've said for years at Rowdy C Productions is that professional wrestling is a television program, whether the smarks want to admit that or not. And we've spent the last 3 months on the Wrestling Mark show dissecting the Attitude Era with the intent of showing why it wasn't a great period for wrestling as far as what the IWC claims it wants, but it was a good period for telling compelling TV. And it's all come down to this. It's finally time to review the show that culminated the biggest storyline in the history of the Attitude Era. This is WrestleMania 15. Now, if you don't know the whole story arc and the build-up to this show with Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and Mick Foley, go back and watch the previous Wrestling Mark videos. We don't have time for that type of recap. The show opens with America the Beautiful being performed by Boyz II Men. Okay, for what it's worth, that's not a bad selection. They are from Philadelphia, where this WrestleMania was taking place, and they were a big act back in the 1990s.
There will be no love in the air. It's the most anticipated match in the history of the World Wrestling Federation. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock.
They're trying to convince us that this was a more anticipated match than Hogan versus Andre. They are just so adorable! And so we truly begin WrestleMania 15, the biggest night in the history of the Attitude Era, the supposed greatest period in all of wrestling, according to the internet smarks. Which is why we start off with a garbage match. Yep, it's Al Snow versus Bob Holly versus Billy Gunn for the esteemed Hardcore Championship. You know, the belt that only existed because they felt Mick Foley and others deserved to get something while trudging at the start of the card while they put on some of the most painful matches to watch. It's basically what happens when they take the Brawl for All concept and attach a belt to it. Okay, to his credit, Foley did prove to be more than just a garbage wrestler, as his involvement in this whole year-long story arc did prove, and as we'll see later on in this show. In the meantime, we got to endure jobbers like Al Snow, and that's not even kidding. He was literally part of a faction called the Job Squad at this time, while Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler go on and on about how it took Al Snow 14 years to get to the Federation. Al Snow, internet darling circa 1999. The match ends when Gunn hits the famouser on Snow on top of a chair, but then Holly uses the same chair to break up the pinfall and steal the pin from Gunn to win the title. And the only thing deader than Al Snow in the ring would be the crowd reaction to that finish. Next up, we have D'Lo Brown and Test teaming up against Owen Hart and Jeff Jarrett for the Tag Team Championships. And if you want to know just how much WWE respected the tag team division in 1999, D'Lo and Test are only together because they were the last two involved in a battle royal that took place on Sunday Night Heat just before WrestleMania started. Imagine if, instead of giving a team like the Ascension a shot at WrestleMania, nowadays WWE just put Seth Rollins and Jericho together and threw them out in a mid-card match. And of course, D'Lo is accompanied by Ivory, and Jarrett has Deborah, both looking like they just came from the Spearmint Rhino. And trust me, this is only the beginning of how the women are depicted in this show. And no, this hastily put together tag team doesn't shock the world. That would be something surprising and good. Jarrett gets the pin on D'Lo while Deborah and Ivory mix it up outside the ring, and then Jacqueline gets into the fracas. Basically, this whole tag team title match was a glorified promo to try and throw in an almost cat fight. Classy. But don't you worry, everyone, because up next, we have one of the most famous matches in the history of professional wrestling. A match that would go down as a classic, remembered forever by everyone in attendance, and forever marked in the annals of time as one of the greatest confrontations in history. Yeah, Spark Gun versus Butterbean. We talked about this one briefly back when we covered Brawl for All, so I won't go into too much detail about it because the exposition would probably last longer than this match itself will last. The worst part of all may be that we still saw more hard-hitting action there than in a Floyd Mayweather fight. And then the San Diego Chicken comes out. Okay. So it's after 3 matches in just 30 minutes that we finally start getting to the ones that involve the actual storylines that were built up for this show. Starting with Mankind against the Big Show, with the winner becoming the referee in the main event. And it's just Big Show pounding Foley into the canvas for about 6 minutes before he gets himself disqualified for chokeslamming Foley into chairs. McMahon naturally comes out and scolds Big Show for getting himself disqualified and thus denying the chance of a corporation member being the referee for the Austin Rock match. And Big Show promptly clocks McMahon, immediately turning face. But don't worry, I'm pretty sure he's not gonna flip-flop back and forth between face and heel that much over the next few years. So at this point, Big Show is headed to jail on Vince's orders while Foley is on his way to the hospital, so we still don't know who the referee for the main event is going to be. I really hope this build-up leads to something! That takes us to the Four Corners Intercontinental Championship match, which is basically Freak Show the match. It's the current champion Road Dogg against freaking Val Venis against Goldust, who has the Blue Meanie and Shamrock's sister in his corner, and of course Ken Shamrock.
Once again, the Big Valboski is going for the Intercontinental Championship. Well, ladies, never fear, because even that belt will never keep the Big Valboski's pants on.
Wow, Val, just a little more childish and you just might make it on Sports Talk Radio. And apparently WWE cared so little for this match that they spend these wrestlers' entrance time continuing to go on and on about what just happened in that previous match.
Mr. McMahon has called the cops on the Big Show Paul White. Well, I just don't know if that's a good idea, but I guess he has no choice.
You just said it was a good idea 2 minutes ago! If you weren't spending half your time watching Val Venis' movies, maybe you could get your lines straight! And that's the big issue, because the match itself wasn't that bad. It actually got the crowd excited for one of the few times tonight. It's the broadcast that gets wrecked because of course King has all his bad jokes.
Blue Meanie's parents, people, you should learn from the Blue Meanie's parents' mistakes. Use birth control. Ken Shamrock referred to Val Venis as that porno punk. Because he hangs out with Ron Jeremy and that, crowd. How do you know about that crowd? I read a lot.
Seriously, at least JBL doesn't sound like a man-child, so his shtick is somewhat tolerable. Well, I say the match was okay until the finish. Shamrock and Venis get counted out together, which means that feud is going to continue because of course. And yet it's Shamrock's sister that ruins things in the end when she distracts Goldust in an attempt to distract Road Dogg. Wait, when did she leave Val Venis for Goldust again? And this allows Road Dogg to pick up the win and retain the title. And of course, Goldust and Meanie berate her and drive her out of the arena. Because it wouldn't be the Attitude Era without treating women like trash. And then we see Big Show getting taken away by the cops in what is definitely not a police car. Yeah, I know WWE was still financially recovering at this time, but give me a break. About the only thing worse I can think of is some jackoff on the internet putting together a terrible fight scene with a bunch of stuffed animals because he's bereft of money and ability. Seriously, who would watch a no-talent hack like that? Next, we have Triple H versus Kane and what's tied into the whole storyline about China having betrayed Triple H and joined the corporation. In this build-up, there was this whole thing about China apparently developing feelings for Kane, but then he accidentally injured her and now is apparently fighting for her or something. Yep. China has been turned into a damsel in distress for this angle. Oh, and get this. As Kane comes out to the ring, so does the chicken again, who attacks Kane. And who is it that's actually in the chicken suit? Triple H? China? Another long-lost relative of the Kane Undertaker family? Nope, it's Pete Rose! Continuing that storyline from last year's WrestleMania. And spoiler alert, they do it again at the next Mania. They've currently thrown Pete Rose into a WrestleMania angle more times than they've currently had Roman Reigns in a WrestleMania main event. Just think about that. Anyway, it's of course during the match that China comes out and puts the ring steps in there, but Triple H ends up using them on Kane instead, and the match ends on a disqualification where China betrays Kane, so it looks like she's back with Triple H, and D-Generation X is at full strength once again. I'm sure the whole group will be telling the corporation to suck it again for a very long time. And then we get another promo where Vince says he will be the referee for the main event. So I guess that issue is now all cleared up, right? Next up is, oh God, kill me now!
This is for all the women who want to be me.
I feel sorry for those women.
Men who come to see me.
If I wanted to see someone like you, I'd go to Brazzers.com, not the WWE Network. So Sable is defending the women's title against Tori. No, not Tori Wilson, because she would have at least tried in the ring. And it's matches like this why I don't complain about when Chrissy Hemme got a title shot at WrestleMania 21. It's nothing but kicks and whips and no serious bumps that would risk damaging Sable's precious implants. Then, okay, bull crap, no way does a ref get knocked out by someone like this girlie. I'd believe it if it was Nia Jax or Beth Phoenix or maybe even Charlotte, but not a bump like that. And this is all so we can see the debut of her. Nicole Bass helping Sable retain the belt. And yeah, I've said enough about that whole angle in my list of worst things happening to WWE women, so I'm just gonna move on. Sable retains and half the crowd runs to the bathroom, and not because they need to pee. I don't think you could have made a worse match on this show than what we just saw. Next up is Shane McMahon versus X-Pac. I stand by my claim! And that's because at least this Shane X-Pac match for the European Championship helped push a storyline. After we get this pre-match promo about how DX is now completely back together, guess what? Triple H and China screw X-Pac and help Shane retain, revealing that China didn't defect back to DX, Triple H went to the corporation. I talk about how this plot twist didn't make any damn sense, but Triple H did become a monster heel later in 1999, so it did kind of all work out, so what the hell do I know? And at least this whole match ended on this piece where Kane chases them out of the building looking for revenge. Yeah, for all the bad angles Kane's supposedly been put through in his career, this was probably the worst. And just when you think it can't get any worse, we get to Undertaker versus Boss Man inside Hell in a Cell. This was on our list of the worst matches ever of the Attitude Era, and there's a damn good reason for it. First off, why the hell was the Ministry of Darkness battling against the corporation to begin with? I've had my issues with face versus face matches, but there have been instances when they work. I cannot think of a heel versus heel match that has ever been successful in wrestling history. I await your comments, including all the examples of when it did work. Still, with two guys plodding around in the ring, what I still think is a botch when Undertaker's handcuffs just ripped off of the cell, and then the not creepy at all finish when the Brood comes down and hangs Boss Man after Taker gets the pin. Let's just say I might need a shower after this thing is over. So we finally get to the main event, and it starts with Jim Ross coming out to call this lone match just for fan service. Then Vince comes out in what does not look like a referee's shirt, despite him saying he was going to get ready an hour ago. And then Commissioner HBK comes out to ruin Vinnie Mac's plans again.
There is only one man who can appoint an official at WrestleMania. The one man that can make that decision is the Heartbreak Kid.
And why did you take this long to point this out?
If you have, like, I don't know, some idea that you or your corporation are gonna have anything to do with this main event, you and your corporation, well, I might let you come down, but...
Why? Why would you allow that? Wow, it's like no one actually proofread this whole segment or something. So yeah, HBK leaves us with full-time referee Mike Chioda for this match, so the whole angle of picking a special referee was completely pointless. Oh, and this match is officially no disqualification, even though that seems not needed since the refs were letting crap go unpunished all night. And well, let's not beat around the bush here. From a storytelling perspective, this was an action-packed match. But if you listen to what the IWC smarks say nowadays is everything they hate about WWE, this should be one of the worst matches in history for them. We get not one, not two, but 3 referees bumped out of the match until Vince McMahon, of course, comes out. Seriously, why did HBK say he'd allow McMahon to come out when he figured this was gonna happen? And as Vince tries to lay it to Stone Cold, Mankind comes out of nowhere after supposedly being in the hospital. Again, why couldn't they have just had Michaels send him out after all the other refs were taken down? And they both kick McMahon to the curb. Austin gets the stunner on Rock, Mankind gets the 3 count, and Austin has finally overcome the odds to be champion once again. Who would have thunk it? And the show ends with Austin having a beer bash with Earl Hebner of all people, and delivering one final stunner to Vince McMahon. And that's WrestleMania 15. It exemplifies the Attitude Era perfectly. I'm not afraid to say this. This may have been a more poorly booked show than WrestleMania 32. I mean, try to look at it objectively. 15 opened with a garbage match compared to the awesome ladder match 32 had, which ended on a great note with Zack Ryder becoming Intercontinental Champion. And no, I don't think it was reduced by him dropping that title just 24 hours later. Or how about the women's triple threat match that stole the show at 32? You're telling me you would rather see Sable just gyrate in the ring and refuse to take a single bump? Now yes, Shane versus Undertaker at 32 was a badly booked match that even I say should have not been on the card. I'll give you that one. But are you seriously going to say that Taker versus Bossman in the same Hell in a Cell was that much better? The one thing that saves the show is the main event, and I will give them credit for pulling out all the stops in that match to give the Austin McMahon feud the climax it deserved after all the time they spent on it. But that essentially is why I say that WrestleMania 15 was a perfect symbol of the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era was chock full of ridiculous characters, and not always in a good way, poorly thought out gimmicks, and matches that were far from the quality that the hardcore fans now sing the praises of from NXT. But it worked because it did latch on to one set of characters and one story arc that many people, especially those who watch wrestling for entertainment, found compelling. I may not have liked Stone Cold Steve Austin's character, and the The fact that so many did does kind of disappoint me about our society's attitude at large, but I do begrudgingly understand that people did gravitate toward him, and WWE did the best thing possible in using him as a draw. But he drew because of who he was as a character, not a wrestler. Austin was never a great mat tactician, and he didn't need to be. No one wanted to see him take crazy flips off the top rope. They just wanted him to drop a stone cold stunner on McMahon and The Rock and then crash beer cans together. Just like they wanted to see Hulk Hogan drop the big leg on the latest member of the Heenan family and then dance to Real American. Like they want to see John Cena say, "You can't see me," before dropping the 5-knuckle shuffle and hitting the attitude adjustment. The type of characters audiences prefer may change, but not the fact that you need characters that those fans will identify with. Smarks like to say it's a different time and people want to just see good wrestling and not theatrics. To which I say, no. That's not what the people want, it's what you want, and you're in the minority. You say that NXT is currently drawing more viewers than Raw, but neither show is drawing close to what WWE used to because you've demanded they turn themselves into Ring of Honor. Well, if you do that, you're gonna get Ring of Honor numbers in terms of TV viewers and attendance, which is where WWE is heading. And you're still gonna complain about things. That's why people like MT Omar, the Smart Busters, and us at Rowdy C Productions say the IWC doesn't really know what it wants. They're more than willing to say WWE is struggling right now, but they either don't grasp or are in denial about exactly why it's struggling. It's not because of Roman Reigns and John Cena, who are WWE's biggest merchandise sellers right now. It's them pushing internet darlings like Sami Zayn and Finn Balor without giving them any type of personality to make people want to see them come out on top in an event they know is staged. Watch Linkara's review of Power Rangers Megaforce, where he says that season was almost all fight and no substance, and they didn't give the Ranger characters any type of personality to make us want to see them fight. There's a reason professional wrestling is called sports entertainment, because it will never be a real sport as long as the results are predetermined, and thus it needs to be given an entertainment aspect for the vast majority of people to care about it. If it's not entertaining and you know that participants aren't really competing, what's the point? I know, I just don't understand professional wrestling. I'm not a real wrestling fan. I'm just a troll to everyone else who really appreciates the great art of wrestling. Send in your flaming emails. Bring on anyone who wants to take me on this. Rowdy C, prepare to feel the ultimate power of the Warrior's wrath. Really? Ultimate Warrior? Aren't you supposed to be dead? Death is only an illusion to the few of us. I have been summoned back from parts unknown. I have been bestowed with the mega powers of Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold and Subasina to become the Super Mega Ultra Zord Warrior. Weren't you teaming up with the Guardian and Sephiroth to try and get Spoonie to help them destroy the world or something like that? The Spoonie War is no longer relevant. I follow a new master now, and all those who do not bow to his presence will feel the ultimate power of my Gastruscosity! Go write about your next comic book series. It's not exactly like you can hurt me from across this monitor. Do not underestimate the Warrior's power shooting from the walls of heartache. Say hello to my little friend! August here, and that means there's a number of big stuff and big changes coming here on RowdyC.com. I'm making sure to post this video on April 2nd to ensure all of you that this is no April Fool's joke, because we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about. First off, the next Rowdy raffle is now set specifically for this May the 10th. And as promised, there will be 2 drawings for this raffle. One drawing for everyone who contributes at least $10 a month, and then a second for those who contribute $1 a month. And the prize, as we've mentioned before, will be tickets to an event of your choice. Sporting events, WWE, live stage performances like Marvel Live or Disney on Ice, possibly even tickets to a convention near you. Give me an event coming to your area, and we'll see what we can do to hook you up. Also, this April is going to feature one of the craziest months of Rowdy reviews ever, and you don't want to miss any of it, and you won't for the low price of just $1 a month. This month, TV Trash will feature special reviews with the assistance of a few of my friends in the reviewer community that you won't want to miss out on, and all patrons will get these reviews before anyone else. In addition, they will also get exclusive access to Elseworlds Month 2. What new crazy alternate worlds will we be looking at this April? All patrons will find out. But there is one more thing that all of you are going to want to hear. A number of you have asked for it for a long time, and I kept thinking about whether or not I can do it. But I am finally going to start Patreon requested reviews. For $20, you can indeed make a request that I will work to make a review video of. The request reviews will start in the summer, so get a head start now. I'm very much looking forward to where Rowdy C Productions is going in the coming months, and I thank all of you who are and will be helping to make it possible. Stay rowdy, my friends.